Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of the online book club, Gustavo's book club, where we read a book that is based on the knowledge of whole food plant-based, and we are currently reading Dr. Barnard's Reversing Diabetes. And as usual, I always say, make sure that you're always in contact with a medical doctor because a whole food plant-based diet is very powerful. It will make a huge difference in your health. And if you take medications, often, very often, they have to be adjusted. And in many cases, they have to be discontinued, but that can only be done by a medical doctor. So I just want to say that when I see all of you coming in, I have this feeling that I would love to meet you all in person. I see people from Oregon, Indiana, North Carolina, Canada, California, my home state, Texas. And I would just love to someday stop by and say hello. So if you would like for me to do that, just send me an email. And when I am traveling, and if I'm in your area, we could perhaps have a cup of tea, or you can show me your favorite restaurant or whatever. I think that would be fun. I have a few announcements. So we have one more session this month, next week. And then what I have decided to do is continue for 3 more sessions for a total of 12 in order to properly cover this amazing book. I don't think I can do justice with one more session. And that helps me to prepare for the next book club that I think that you will love, because it is going to be a book that, like all the ones we have read, is life-changing and is by someone who is very well known. And this person will be sometimes our guest. And we will have many cooking demos and many guests besides the author. So in order to prepare for that book club, I need more time. And so this is great. So next week, I will have the link for you all to register for the remaining 3 sessions. And hopefully that will, that will be, excuse me, I was eating a sweet potato and I had a piece here. Okay, so that will be a good ending. And one of you says, well, we could come stay at your bed and breakfast. Yes, you could, and it would be an unforgettable experience. It's just that right now the borders are closed and you cannot come, but as soon as they're open, I would love to have you as my guest in this beautiful mountain town in Cordoba, Argentina, where there is so much to do if you like to do things outdoors. And also there are other activities, plus you could just take time and relax. And we could have many concerts here in my living room and enjoy some wonderful, healthy, delicious food. So let's keep that in mind. So what are the other announcements? The other announcement is that I will be holding a webinar with the one and only Dr. Douglas Lyle, the best psychologist in the world, without a doubt. or at least the best whole food plant-based. But I mean, you all know how incredible a mind he is and a person. So I haven't done a webinar with Dr. Lyle in a while, and it's going to be the last Sunday of this month of May 2021. And it's free, and he will be talking about a fascinating topic, which is self-esteem and self-confidence. Two things that people often confuse, and they are not the same, and they could make a difference between, succeeding in life and succeeding in this way of eating or not. So I'm putting here the link for you to register, and it's also going to be in the description area of this video if you're watching it on YouTube. So that is very exciting, this webinar with Dr. Lyle. And I'm also getting ready to present a night of food and music, dinner and movie music, I should say. So this is going to be a webinar that is going to, I'm going to, how do I say? I had the word dedicated. That's what I want to say. I will dedicate it to all fathers, all dads out there. It's going to be for Father's Day. It will be aired the weekend before Father's Day so that you could make these 3 amazing recipes that I will be making. It's all eggplant. It's going to be an eggplant extravaganza or an eggplant egg extravaganza. You will not want to miss these. And I know that everyone in your family is going to love these crunchy eggplant, like the eggplant parmigiana, where they're crunchy and you can make a burger with them. And I also will be making stuffed eggplant that is and I also will be making eggplant meatballs. Of course, they don't have meat that you can put on spaghetti. So amazing. And with my friend Leonardo, the violinist, we will be performing some very, very beautiful music from movies. And you will receive that concert as well. And you could play the music while you all have dinner or lunch with your husband or your father or your dad. Anyway, that's coming. And actually, that is also available for registration. And I will be putting it here in case you want to go ahead and register. Oops, that's not how it's done. There it is. Okay, so that's it for the announcements. Let's get to the book. And today we're going to cover chapters 6 and 7. I don't know, maybe we'll try to do 8, but we will see how that works. So today we're starting with chapter 6, which is called Healthful Weight Control. So Dr. Barnard says, let me show you the steps that make the process as easy, effective, and permanent as possible. And I thought that those were very good words to include here. Easy, because people want easiness. They don't want these complicated plans or meals. So it's easy. It is effective because almost instantly, you eat one meal and by the next meal, you're noticing a difference. So it is effective, and it is permanent because this is not a diet as in the traditional way of people have talking about diet, something you do for a while and then you get off of it and then you gain all the weight back and you suffer through it. No, this is diet as meaning the human diet, what we eat, what we are supposed to eat. So, what very good words. The more body fat that you trim away, the more responsive your cells are to whatever insulin your pancreas is producing. Remember that the main topic or the main jewel advice we can get from this wonderful book is that diabetes problem is not the sugar, it's the fat. It's the what is it called? The fat that is inside the cell that is not allowing the insulin to get in and do its job. It's the fat that is blocking, that is jamming that door, so that the key cannot get in and open. So that is why he says that the more body fat you trim away, the more responsive your cells will be. Weight loss also brings down your cholesterol and your blood pressure and many, many benefits along with that. So there are many ways to lose weight. And I remember when I was doing the webinars with Dr. McDougall, and he always said that. He always said, there are many ways to lose weight. I could put you in chemotherapy and you will lose weight. I could, in a sarcastic way, I could cut your legs and so that you wouldn't get to the refrigerator, maybe your arms too, and you couldn't eat, you would eat little. I could make you sick with a high fat diet, and your body, you will eventually get sick and lose weight. I mean, there are many ways to lose weight. Some people can actually control the number of calories and portions. They're good at that. They don't have food addiction issues. There are ways, but cutting calories works for some people, he says, but others find it a real challenge. If you normally eat 2,000 calories per day, for example, a common recommendation would limit you to 1,500, and that gets old very fast. If you're hungry at 8 in the evening and you have already had your 1,500 calories for the day, you will go to bed hungry. That will never happen on the program recommended in this book. So it says on page 90, that's where chapter 6 is. This chapter is called Healthful Weight Control. I am not sure what the difference is between the older edition and the new edition because I only have this one. If you have the old edition and you can tell me whether chapter 6 is called Healthful Weight Control or not, or if it's on page 90 or not, I would appreciate it, but I don't know. So on page 90 at the very end, it says, a healthy approach to weight loss focuses on choosing the right kinds of foods, not on the quantity of food you eat. So I put a star on that, and I'm going to highlight it because that is one of the secrets, okay, for succeeding at a whole food plant-based way of eating. Let's say it again because this is so important. A healthy approach to weight loss focuses on choosing the right kinds of foods, not on the quantity of food you eat. Wow. What a brilliant concept. When you have the right foods on your side, the calories and portions fall into line on their own. And weight loss is almost automatic. Okay, on page 91, a weight loss diet that works. In 2005, my research team published the results of an important study that tested a new and powerful approach to weight loss. So it says our approach was very different from others. It did not include calorie counting. And we all know that when we eat a true whole food, we should underline that whole food, plant-based diet, there is almost no reason in counting calories unless you're eating avocados, nuts, and seeds, and a lot of soy products. All of those things that I just mentioned are not particularly unhealthy. It's just that they have a lot of calories. So someone here is saying that chapter 6 in the old edition is titled Healthful Weight Control, and it starts on page 87, and mine starts at 90. So there is a slight difference. Thank you for saying that. And someone else saying, that is totally true. I've been a starchivore for over 8 years. I use the Instant Pot to make big batches of veggie, chili, and potato soup, etc., then freeze in containers. I often eat last night's dinner leftovers. Chili for breakfast? Yes. For me, keeping it simple means success. Weight keeps going down. No measuring food. Well, exactly right. I could not say better. Okay. So, it did not include calorie counting, limits on portions or carbohydrates, or even an exercise prescription. For research purposes, we wanted to isolate the effects of diet. So on page 92, it says, step 1, he's going to give you 3 steps for weight loss. This is very important. I like it how he is a good teacher, because you always want to give students 3. I know for some reason a list of 3 always works, but a list of 11, it's harder to remember. Of course, the number is higher, but keep things very concise to 2 or 3 concepts or points. So 3 things. Step 1 is to avoid animal products. If you do that, you will, of course, avoid animal fat completely. And of course, you know that fat, no matter where it comes from, whether it is from an animal or from a vegetable source like olive oil or any kind of oil, has 9 calories per gram. It's more than double what carbohydrates have. And of course, fat gets easily stored. It doesn't get easily burned. Carbohydrates get easily burned. It's the first fuel that the body grabs to burn. The last thing is fat. Okay, so step 2 is to keep vegetable oils to a minimum. Beans, grains, vegetables, fruits, and most other foods from plants have very little fat. There are a few exceptions, however. Nuts, seeds, avocados, and some soy products are high in fat. Keep them to a minimum as well. Be especially careful about vegetable oils used in cooking or in salad dressings. When it comes to weight problems, however, animal fats and vegetable oils are essentially all the same. They all pack in 9 calories per gram. Step 3 is to focus on high fiber foods. A grain of brown rice, for example, has a thin cloak of fiber that gives the rice its tan color. To produce white rice, manufacturers strip away this coating but you are better off if it is left intact. Fiber fills you up, so you will feel naturally satisfied with fewer calories. So, and then at the bottom of page 92, there is a chart or a little box, I should say, and it says steps to weight loss. So there it's even more concise. And it says avoid animal products, everything, fish, chicken, beef, dairy foods, all other animal products. You will cut your animal fat intake to 0, not 10, not 50, to 0. So what's more, the shift will mean that you will naturally eat high fiber foods to replace those from animal sources which have no fiber. Keep vegetable oils to a minimum. If you have a bottle of cooking oil in your kitchen, throw it away. Don't keep it. There are simpler and better ways to cook. Also, limit nuts, seeds, avocados, and full-fat soy products. And number 3, favor high-fiber foods. Build your meals from beans and other legumes, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. And of course, to ensure complete nutrition, be sure to have a vitamin B12 supplement each day. So, on page 93, it says, on the second paragraph, the richest sources of fiber are beans, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. Aim for at least 40 grams per day. Okay, so it says here, that's fiber, okay? One caveat, if high fiber foods, especially beans, have not been part of your routine, you will want to increase the amount you eat gradually to give your digestive tract time to adjust. And that's very true. So then he says, okay, let's summarize. And I like it when he does that. And he says, to lose weight, you want to avoid animal products, limit the use of vegetable oils, and go high fiber. And I'm going to highlight this little paragraph here in the middle of page 93. Limit the use of vegetables, oils, and go high fiber. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and beans fit the bill perfectly. Okay, so then he gives you some healthy examples. And you know that there is a section of wonderful recipes at the end of the book. So that would be your examples, and I would try them. Maybe I will make some if we have time during the next sessions. Appetite control on page 95. There is something very interesting about how human beings behave. And one of those things is that, as he writes here on page 95 at the bottom, humans tend to eat roughly the same weight of food each day. That means that most people don't eat 2 pounds of food in a day, and then the next day they eat 6, and then the next day eat 1, and then 4. No, research shows that no matter what you eat the same amount of weight. It's as if your stomach had an inner scale, and it, it kind of always stayed more or less the same. Of course, if you eat 4 pounds of whole food plant-based diet, you will end up with much lower calories at the end of the day than if you eat 4 pounds of animal foods and dairy and oil and foods high in fat, because the calories double or triple, or in some cases quadruple. So humans tend to eat roughly the same weight of food each day. If your meals do not add up as they normally do, your appetite guides you to have a little more. There's an effective weight loss strategy in there. If the foods you eat contain a fair amount of water, soups or fruit, for example, they are heavy enough to tip your stomach scale and reduce your appetite. Funny enough, they have found that just drinking water does not trick your stomach into not feeling hungry. And I don't recall reading why here, although it may be, but in my theory is that water has to be combined with fiber, or otherwise there is no feeling of satiation. That is why you want to eat foods that have water in them, like soups and stews and fruits and vegetables that have a lot of water in them. So then on page 96, he says, here are some tips for reducing the energy density of your meals. Soups are a great choice. You can add tomatoes, chickpeas, cucumbers, peppers, and other vegetables to turn a salad into a meal while keeping it low in calories. Use fat-free dressing, lemon juice, or apple cider vinegar rather than regular oily dressings. That is a very important point. Someone says here, let's see, I like to read the comments. I made a lot of minestrone soup. What is the best way to freeze? Freezer bags or plastic containers? Mason jars don't work. It cracks even though half full only. Being a Southern girl, one of the hardest things to give up is 100% is Duke's mayo, especially when I make a potato salad. But I have cut way back just about once a month. And I have to tell you that there are ways to make this mayonnaise that has cashews sometimes or other nuts. But it really, I made a potato salad with that mayonnaise and it is amazing. It's something that I made very seldom. I don't know, every 3-4 months or something like that. So if it's a little higher in calories because of that dressing, still is 10 times better than real mayonnaise. So I will be uploading more and more videos of recipes in the very near future. That's why I want to recommend that you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't, and that you often check your mailbox for emails because you will see them there. Someone says, I love the super cubes. You can see a demo of them on Tammy and Tom's Nutmeg Notebook site. Yes, you can freeze soup in like ice cube form. In my house, when I make soups or stews, it just doesn't last that long. It may last 3 days at the most. I also have guests over if I make a big amount. And so I seldom, if ever, have to freeze. That's why I'm not an expert on freezing things. But what does it mean to limit plant fats? I never know how much of plant fats I can eat daily or weekly or monthly of nuts, seeds, avocado, etc. Currently, I eat 1 tablespoon of flax daily and 1 ounce of tofu daily, no avocado, and 1 Brazil nut a week. Okay, let me finish the container issue. These containers work for me to freeze. Lotosh 24 pack, 16 ounce, 2 cups, plastic food and drink storage container set. Okay, I see that. I guess everybody is seeing that. And there is also a link to an Amazon store. Thank you for sharing that. I purchased souped cubes from Amazon. They are silicone freezer containers that has 4 sections each, worth the price. I freeze soup in them, and then the next day, LOL, the soup cubes out and put in plastic gallon bags. They fit nicely in the freezer and take out as needed. Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you. So there is on Amazon, there is a product called Souped, SOUPED cubes, and you can use it for freezing soup. Great. Okay, so back to the fat. This is not a one answer fits all kind of answer, because here's where we have to take into consideration as a coach that I am. I have to get to know the person that I'm coaching. If it depends a lot, and that's why I sometimes don't like the when someone gives advice on one thing as if it would fit everyone, and I just don't think it does. It depends on is the person at the ideal weight? Is the person looking to gain weight? Because believe it or not, well, I've never known that myself, but for some people, they lose weight easily. So sometimes people are looking for gaining weight. Are you needing to lose a lot of pounds, or are you almost done and you're in your last stretch of losing your last 10 pounds, let's say? All that makes a difference. If you're coming out of the regular American, standard American diet, and you are overweight or obese, and you cut down, or you cut totally out any animal products, then if you eat some plant-based fat in the forms of nuts and seeds and avocados, and you have 100 pounds to lose, let me tell you, you will lose a lot even if you're consuming those, because you're giving up all the animal products and you're limiting or cutting down on oil. So you will get to a point, though, I think all of us do, I did, that if you have to lose 100 pounds, you will lose 70 or 80 easily. But then the last 10 or 20 or 15 are not going to be as easy. And that is when you have to cut down by other things. By that time, you will have learned a lot about yourself, and you will have found many other choices, so that if you give up the nuts and seeds, they're not going to bother you that much, because you have learned a lot about substituting. So how much to eat, it really depends. How much fat do we actually need a day? Well, as we've seen in, I don't recall exactly what chapter in this book, but you can look it up even in the internet. The human body needs minuscule amount of fats. Remember that our cells are microscopic, and if there is too much fat, it will start to interfere with insulin. And so you don't want to go over more than 10, 15% of your daily calories coming from fat. So I don't have, unfortunately, a precise answer for this because it does depend on each person. Just remember this: everything that you eat, from oatmeal to beans to rice to sweet potato to potatoes to a tomato to lettuce to everything, has some amount of fat. Some things have more. I mean, oatmeal has a good amount of fat. I don't recall exactly if it was 15 or 20% of it. Um, but and that is fat. Remember that it's vegetable based, and that comes in the ratio that our bodies are intended to handle, and it comes combined with fiber, and then in the case of oatmeal, with water that we add. But other vegetables like broccoli, let's say, well, the fiber and the water and the fat and the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals are all combined to perfection. We don't have to worry. So if you never, from today until the day that you die, you never eat an avocado or a nut and seed or any kind of tofu product, you will be fine. Okay, so that's one of the things that I know personally from working with Chef AJ so many years, is that she gave those things up at one point when she had a hard time losing weight and wanted to lose the rest of the pounds that she needed to. And she is healthy. She's fine. I don't eat nuts and seeds, not because I can't, although I have a tendency to gain weight, and so I wouldn't, but I don't eat them because I don't care for them. I don't really, I like avocados, but I'm not an addict to avocados like other people are. So I'm fine in that area. So I have to take care in the areas of chocolate or breads that are, unless it's something like pumpernickel bread or rye bread, that I could eat some, but I have to be careful because I could eat a whole loaf of bread, and even if it's healthy, it's just too much dense in calories. Well, I hope I have answered. And if you like to further discuss this, send me an email at bornforhealth at gmail.com or info@plantemas.com. Okay, let's see. My eating plan is no fat added. I use parchment paper to line pans. Yes, please, when you bake things or roast things, even if, don't try to stay away from oil or from sprays. They little by little, every day, every week, every month, it just adds and adds and adds fat that you don't need into your body. So using a silicone sheet is wonderful. They last forever, literally, and the old parchment paper is fine. Okay. Let's see what else we see here. Low glycemic index, it says to generally avoid potatoes. These are complex starches. I'm confused as to why we should avoid them. Well, yes, I can talk a lot about potatoes because I spent several years with, doing these webinars with Dr. McDougall, that some people, even he himself calls himself the potato doctor, in a funny way. I was able to sit next to him and eat meals. I was able to travel with him. I even was privileged enough to be a guest in his house twice. And Dr. McDougall focuses on the potatoes like no other doctors. And I agree with him totally. A potato is a complex carbohydrate. It's a perfect source for total nutrition other than vitamin B12 and a few other vitamins like vitamin C that you, so he does say, of course, that you need to add some vegetables on the side for a few other vitamins, but the potato and the sweet potato are perfect foods, totally. The sweet potato has a lower glycemic index than the white potato. So I see the reasoning of Dr. Barnard that if you have diabetes already and you wanted to revert it as quickly as possible, maybe instead of a potato, have a sweet potato. Once you have reversed it, you could probably eat potatoes with no issue. On the other hand, I have to say that being at McDougall's living program many times, I saw all of his diabetic patients eat potatoes every day, and the medication went down every day. So in this issue, I'm just going to, since I am not a medical doctor and I don't want to get into this kind of argument, you have Dr. Barnard here, you have Dr. McDougall on the other side. They agree 99.9% of the times. But in this case with potato, there's this difference. You will have to make up your mind and decide what you want. I think that if you eat a whole food plant-based diet that is 100% the way it's described in this book, with not a trace of animal product, not a trace of oil, I believe, and you have enough variety so that you're not eating potatoes on every meal, every day, and only potatoes. I think that it'll probably be just fine. But we're reading this book, and so Dr. Barnard says that if you have diabetes and you have a choice, to go for the sweet potato instead of the potato. Potato is my staple food, and potato is how I lost 70 pounds and fast. And potato, if I need to lose more weight, I will focus on the potato. But I don't have diabetes. Okay, so let's see here. In one of the webinars that I did with Dr. McDougall said that food, potatoes or sweet potatoes, whatever you're eating, they're supposed to raise your blood sugar. That is a normal reaction of the body. It goes up and then it's supposed to go down. If you ate potatoes, let's say that you're diabetic and you really feel like eating potatoes, well, I would pair them with a lot of fresh and green veggies, and just see what happens. But I will leave it at that. And when we have a doctor as a guest, which I plan on doing for the next 3 or 4 sessions that we have left, we can ask the doctor that particular question about why, if it really matters if your sugar goes up when you eat potatoes, if you later on you're eating, or if you're constantly eating whole food plant-based, which we will ask that. Okay, we will move on. And on page 97, he says, steer clear of low carb diets. And he gives you the reason for doing that. And then on page 99, there's something that says what to expect, and also to take your time. This is another thing that is very important. If you have gradually gained weight over the years, remember that we gain weight over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And then for some reason, all of a sudden, we start a new way of eating. And by the next day, we want to see 10 pounds off. So he says, let it come off gradually. Don't starve yourself in the hope of instant results. That's the worst thing you can do. If you are on an optimal diet and are physically active, nature will take its course. And he says that losing 1 pound per week is a really good way of losing weight. There are maybe weeks where you lose half a pound. There may be weeks where you lose 2 pounds. So I would not weigh myself daily. I never did. I think weekly, at the most weekly, and on the same day and at the same time. Chapter 7 is how to test yourself and track your progress. And I think this is really important, but it talks a lot about different kinds of tests and making sense of glucose and hemoglobin A1C, which I want to highlight that you should really read that section and understand what A1C means, and that you want to keep it in that range that he talks about. And then he talks about cholesterol. According to most authorities, total cholesterol should be below 200. Okay, so, but then he says that if you want to have the lowest possible risk of heart problems, and I have heard some doctors say that you can pretty much say with confidence that you will not have a heart attack or heart issues if your cholesterol is below 150. So 150 is a very good number to keep in mind and as a target. And if it's lower than 150, is even better. And then he explains a little bit about the LDL and the HDL and the triglycerides and all that. That is very interesting. I have many webinars with Dr. McDougall in my YouTube channel that talk about cholesterol. And then tracking your blood pressure, you should track it. 120/80 is considered normal. And if you have high blood pressure, now this is important here. If you already have high blood pressure, 160, 170, let's say, over 100 or something like that, your caregiver, your doctor, will work with you to reduce it to below 140/90, and then below 130/80 if you can get there without serious medication side effects. So I remember Dr. McDougall saying that even 130, he does not treat it with medication. But of course, here we have to be careful because different doctors have different points of view. And the best possible scenario would be if you could find a doctor that is a plant-based doctor. And checking your weight, we've talked about. Use the same scale each time. Check your weight at the same time of day each time. Remember that our weight fluctuates several times a day. So it's not good if this week I woke up and I weighed myself at 7 a.m. and the next week on the same day I weighed myself at 7 p.m. because usually we have more weight in the evening. So about 1 pound per week is a healthful goal for weight loss. Do not rely on exercise alone for weight loss. This is very, very important. A healthful diet change can easily trim 300 to 400 calories a day off your daily menu. But burning that many calories through exercise means walking or running 3 or 4 miles a day. Exercise is important, but it cannot begin to take the place of diet change. If you're diabetic, make sure that you often check your eyesight, your feet, because you can have neuropathy, and you will not feel, there's nerve damage, you will not feel if there is an injury in your foot or in your feet, and then that may become infected. And then staying healthy, it says at the end of this chapter on page 115. Keep an eye on your glucose, A1C, and cholesterol, blood pressure, weight, eyes, and feet. But I hope as you tune up your diet and lifestyle, that is all you will be doing, just confirming that all is just as it should be. And we will leave it here. And next week, we will talk about chapter 8, which is living in an imperfect world where restaurants are not made for us. And so if we go out, we have to be very smart what to choose or where we're choosing to go, and looking at the menu ahead of time, preparing what you're going to ask for, maybe taking something with you if they don't have, let's say, fat-free salad dressing or something like that. And so it's a very fun, very good chapter, and I have very good recommendations, and I will see you next week. So, and we will finish here with somebody who, let's see, is saying, my understanding is that plant fats, as they occur in the food, are fine to eat. Avoid extracted oils of all kinds as much as possible. If you're trying to lose weight, limit higher fat plant foods such as nuts, and avocados. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I will see you next week, which is the last Thursday of this month of May. And I hope you have a very good weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.